All right, let's move on to our primary sources. Again, these videos that we have today are used to think about, prepare to study your materials for your final exam in History 1013, World Civ 1. We have one video that relates to prepping for essay exams, and this video relates to prepping for the primary source portion. You have a lot of choice on this section, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't prep all of your primary sources. I'm not going to prep all of them for you here either. Sorry. I'll do a few, but we're not going to prep them all here because you should be doing this on your own. But let's talk a little bit about a successful presentation on the exam with regard to your primary sources. Keep in mind that primary sources, these are the presentations in your Andrea and Overfield reader. That is the text for this course. Primary sources are the materials written or made by the people we are studying. This can be written sources. This can also mean artwork, which we have some examples of, right? So those are the sources written or made by the people we are actually studying. In your Andrea and Overfield reader, you do have a nice little introduction to each one, and those are great. The introductions are great. You should read those. But I also want to be able to see on the test that you are working with the primary source. Please look under content at Blackboard at our course for some of your colleagues' postings. Some of you have very kindly shared your PowerPoint presentations, your sources that you worked on for class at Blackboard. So please take a look for those. There will be different PowerPoints there. So that's another reason why I really don't need to go over all of this. Now, please also know that I have not edited your colleagues' postings. They are their work. That's their work. They're sharing with you, right? So keep that in mind. So read it critically. Know that if something is there in that PowerPoint that seems a little off to you, it might be a typo. It might be a mistake. So nobody's edited those particularly except the people presenting them. And while I'm not saying that they're not just brilliant and perfect, if there's something that doesn't quite ring correctly to you, keep in mind you could be right. Maybe they've made a mistake. Or maybe your interpretation is just as valid as theirs and you're taking it in a different direction. So for example, we have several sources on your study guide. One of them, a very familiar one, is St. Matthew's rendering of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. So if you were confronted with this primary source, I would hope that you would provide the following in good paragraph form. Who is writing this? You can talk about Jesus of Nazareth. You could talk about Matthew, depending upon what direction you went in, right? So this is the speech or a series of speeches that Jesus gave. Matthew has recorded them. Jesus lives in the 1st century AD. So does Matthew. Matthew will die much later than Jesus, or leave this earth. Jesus leaves this earth. But at any rate, but roughly the same century. This is a speech. This is a element of the gospel, the Bible, that talks about what it means to be Christian. It includes things like the Beatitudes, the Our Father. It has some discussion of the covenant. So there's a lot of discussion in there about what it means to be a good Christian. Where this happens in what we would call the Middle East, Palestine, or Judea, when, again, 1st century BC, AD, 1st century AD. Why is it important? It gives us a lot of discussion about what it means to be Christian. It gives us a lot of the message of this new monotheism, this new faith that's somehow connected to Judaism. And as you're thinking about the paragraph you would write, the sort of page in your blue book that you would write, the idea here is put it in good paragraph form and be able to actually use the primary source there. Can you point to some of the Beatitudes that are represented? Can you discuss the importance of the interpretation of the covenant that Jesus brings? Right? So who, what, where, when, why is it important? Being able to use elements from the source you've actually read to make your case. And again, just to remind you, how can you use this primary source in your response? It's not enough just to give me the Wikipedia version of the Sermon on the Mount. It's not enough to just give me the dictionary.com version of something, right? I want to see you working and struggling with the source. So find an element that you find particularly interesting or particularly confusing and bring that to bear. That'll show me that you're actually working that document. Read those sources. You also have one also from the time of Christ, 1st century AD. This is Augustus and the Roman peace. So if you want to work on this one, please do. Absolutely, we have a couple presentations, I think, in these classes on Augustus. Who, what, where, when, why is it important? And so Augustus, some would say the first Roman emperor. He's also the grandnephew of Julius Caesar. He might call himself princeps, which just means he's the first man at Rome. So there's lots of ways to define him. He writes this himself. This is a source that actually Augustus wrote, and it is an account of his life. The Latin is res gestae, the things I did, res gestae, but he is talking about all the great things he did for Rome. And if you read that document, you'll see that he talks about giving money to soldiers, giving land to soldiers. He talks about temples that he repaired and built. He talks about military conquests. He talks about bringing peace to the Roman world, that he was able to bring peace. He uses the term closing the temple of the god Janus, closing the temple doors, because that means Janus doesn't have to watch the highways and byways of Rome. Janus can take a rest because we are not at war. So he brings peace. So this is 1st century AD. This is at Rome. This is Augustus, first emperor of Rome. Why is it important? Depending upon what you think about the document, it could be that you think it's important because it is written by him. You think it's important because it talks about the Pax Romana, the Roman peace that lasted for 2 centuries, the Roman peace that allowed Christianity to expand so easily. Well, not without its problems, of course, but at any rate, the document itself has a lot to say about 1st century AD, Roman history, world history, the leadership of Augustus, the role that he's taken on. Yeah? So, these are a couple of examples. Please read those primary sources. Please make yourself a study sheet for each one, maybe a note card for each one. Who, what, where, when, why important, and can you please try to pick out an example from that primary source that shows you read it. Put all that together in your essay, in your essay exam, in good paragraph form. We want these answers in good paragraph form, not just an outline written on the page, please. While it's okay to outline your answer before you answer it, I'm looking for a good paragraph. All right, good luck on that exam. Feel free to email me, call me, come on by. I'll be in and out. As you know, next week, no class on Monday or Wednesday. So have a good week, study hard, and we'll see you for the exam either Monday, May 11th or Monday, May 12th, and that will be in EC 117 at 8 a.m. Come on time, please. We'll see you then.